a month ago we were sat here and when somebody asked you what would you prefer, Premier League survival or any place in the FA Cup final at Wembley in May, you said, why can't we have both? Well, here we are 4 or 5 weeks on, you've got both now.
Well, we're not quite there. I mean, you would like to think we're almost done, but we're not quite there. And, there's a couple of clubs just above us as well on 37 points where you think, is that going to be enough? With our goal difference, is it going to be enough? The simple truth is, at the moment, it's not. So we've got to, approach the next 4 or 5 games and finish as high as we possibly can. It would be terrific to, we've always been around 11, 12, 13. So can we stay there? That's got to be the aim, and that's got to be what we're looking for. And as I've said, we're not mathematically done and dusted yet. So we've got to make sure that we approach it right.
When you see results like Crystal Palace got at Everton the other night, Fulham getting a win again last weekend, does that just up the pressure a little bit on what you've got?
Well, if we're being honest, of course it does. I mean, and that shows you the strength of this league. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen in any other country bar ours. And the teams at the bottom now are making a hell of a fist of it. And 2-3 weeks ago, we thought Fulham were done and dusted. We thought Cardiff were done and dusted. Then all of a sudden, they get a great result at Southampton. Fulham have had back-to-back wins, and Crystal Palace have Tony's done an amazing job there. So it's still all to play for. With 3-4 games to play, could it go down to the wire? I think I predicted that 4 or 5 months ago. I think it's going to be one of them ones where I think there could be 3 or 4 clubs still involved last day of the season. You don't want to be involved in it. And that's got to be we're aiming to make sure we're not.
So it's Arsenal this weekend. They had an almighty struggle getting past Wigan in the Cup semi-final last Saturday. Went 1 down to West Ham before turning that around. Have you seen anything from those 2 games that might give you an inkling, an edge up?
Well, first of all, I think you have to always compliment the manager. He always stays positive. Just when they needed a big couple of results, they've got them. Doesn't matter how they've got there. They might not have played the Arsenal way against Wigan last week, or maybe the Arsenal way against West Ham. But they've turned it round and they've won back-to-back games when they needed to. And they put themselves right back in the frame. And, the manager in particular gets an unfair criticism. The guy's done an amazing job over the last, 17 years? 16 years of those in the top 4 is a remarkable achievement, considering, he hasn't had the funds that all the other big clubs have had. So Arsenal, they've got my hugest respect because they're always one of the one clubs when you used to play was to play against the mighty Arsenal, whether it was at Highbury or was it the Emirates. They're a terrific club with fantastic players. So we'll have to be at our best to try and get them. And as I've said to you, just when they needed a couple of results, they've got it. And how often has Mr. Wenger done that?
You say they've got a couple of big results in the last 2 weeks, done without Mesut Ozil, their record signing. We're told that he will play some part in the game on Sunday. I'm sure you'd be quite happy to see him play 90 minutes on the bench.
Well, it's great to see them. It's great to see them, buying somebody like Mesut Ozil, because in the last, looking from afar, the last probably 8-9 years, they've been obviously funding the stadium and getting that built, and what a magnificent job they've done of that, and haven't been able to really compete at the top level. I think that's the proper statement there to say, well, we're ready now. We've got everything in order to challenge the biggest clubs in Europe. And when you sign somebody like him, then I think that makes a statement to all. And it's like every player coming to England. They'll take a little bit of time, but make no mistake, he's a terrific talent. And let's hope he stays on the bench tomorrow for a long, long time.
Is he a danger for you?
Of course, he's a danger to any team. He's a world-class player. And, when you look at them, Arsenal have always got good players. And like any club, they've been, for me, hamstrung with a few injuries. They're big players at the wrong time getting injured. And that affects all of us, not just us at the bottom end of the table, but the top teams too. They've missed their big players. Your Ramseys, your Wilshires, your Ozils, your Theo Walcotts. All of these type of people are really top players. So I'm sure they'll want them back, and with 3-4 games to go, they'll do their best to get where they want to be.
And just finally, you said Arsene Wenger and the job he's done at Arsenal over the years consistently well. I know you wouldn't want to get involved necessarily in their affairs, but in your opinion, as a fellow manager, would it be a mistake if Arsenal were quite happy to let him walk out the door?
I think they'll do everything in their power that they can. I think the people who realise, who employ him, what a tremendous job he's done. And as I've said, he's never maybe had the spending power of the big, huge clubs in Europe, but always is competing. You look, they've got semi-finals, finals of the Champions League. His record, how we even question him, still baffles me. He's been, and I've said this many, many times, for me, he's been a problem for the English coaches and English managers, because he was the first one, really, who's come over here, and I think many clubs then looked at it and thought, oh, we're going down the foreign route, thinking they're going to get another Arsene Wenger. There ain't many of him. And he's not everybody's cup of tea, but the one thing you've got to say is his teams play a fantastic way. He's proved to be one of the greats as far as I'm concerned, because I've got the hugest respect for him and what he's done and what he's achieved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your lads after the weekend, did they go off and party, or did you tell them to temper any celebrations?
I think they were looking for a few passes out, and I think a few of them succeeded, and a few stayed down in London. I would have thought. Put it this way, there wasn't many on the bus coming back home. I think we had 2. So what the rest were up to, I don't really want to know, to be honest.
Is there any danger that they can get carried away?
No. They've been in all week. Listen, it's not every day that you get to an FA Cup final if you're Hull City. So you've got to enjoy the moment. We have many dark sides. When you get old and grey like me, then I'm in bed for 11 o'clock, too exhausted to go out. So I hope they had a good time. Apparently they did, but it was a week ago. They've trained all week, and we're getting now prepared for Arsenal, because we've still got a bit of work to be done, and we've got Arsenal coming to town, which is always a special occasion.
And ahead of a game like this, do you have everyone kind of being fit and ready, or do you have everyone maybe just thinking, oh, I've got to save myself, I can't get an injury before May 17th?
Well, the only thing I can say to all of that is there's places to play for. And not many people would have picked the team that I picked at the weekend. Maybe got it wrong to start with, but there you have it. There's places to play for, and certainly we demand that there'll be no slackening off. We haven't achieved anything yet. We've got to a final, great, okay, it's gone. We've got 4 games to secure a Premier League survival, first of all, and mathematically we're in a good position, but we're not there yet, so we've got to make sure that we're there.
And Long and Jelavic come back into the reckoning. Any problems this week, injuries or anything?
No, they're all fine. They're all fine.
Steve, excuse me, has there been an extra buzz about the place after?
Well, early on in the week, of course there is, and you'd be lying. You go amongst the supporters and the city in itself. We've never been there, have we? So it's terrific, and of course the players are excited as the supporters are. There's a lot of. I don't think any of my players have been to an FA Cup final. I don't think so anyway. So it's new for them, great for them, but more importantly, I think for the city itself and the real genuine supporters of Hull I'm delighted for them, because make no mistake, it's a special occasion. And tomorrow I've got another full house apparently against Arsenal. So we must make sure that we secure a Premier League status now. That's the next step.
25,000 ticket allocation. Arsenal aren't happy with that.
Well, I can fully understand that. Let's be fair, there was nearly 60,000 Arsenal fans for the Wigan game, and then to only give them 25,000 for me is not quite right. Where's the other 40,000 gone? So it's another issue that we have to face with FA Cup, and I was trying to say this last week to the supporters probably here, who were saying they were hedging their bets and trying to get a ticket for the actual cup final will be much more difficult than trying to get it for the semi-final. So it's an argument which always rages on. Is there too many gone to the FA Council and the FA and all the rest of it? But let's be fair, it's their competition, so they make the rules.
Do you think they should revisit that?
I think they should. I think they should with the club. I mean, you're never going to satisfy them all. Let's be fair, Arsenal have 60-odd thousand every week. So how do you satisfy it? It is difficult, but to make a few more, then I would think that would only be fair.
Thinking about the game against Arsenal, is there any part of you that will be looking ahead to the?
I don't think it'll make a ha'porth of difference. I really, really don't. Let's be fair. We're taking on the mighty Arsenal, and it's a big occasion always when you play them. And in a few 4 or 5 weeks' time, who knows? Injuries, people suspended and all the rest of it. People fall out of form. I don't think anything will have a meaning on of it this weekend.
Are you bothered that the game was switched? Wenger wasn't overly happy. I think it was more.
I think we should do everything we can to help Chelsea. We don't do it enough. I wouldn't be surprised if they're not playing in Spain this weekend. Who they got? Chelsea, Atletico.
Is it Sunderland?
Real Madrid aren't playing. There you go. Real Madrid aren't playing. So I think when it gets to this stage, we should help the big teams because it's difficult enough in our league to play again. So if we can help the situation to help Chelsea, then I've got no problems with it whatsoever. And I didn't have at the time when they asked us.
Because I mean, I'm not talking about in terms of football terms, but fans who bought tickets for trade.
Yeah, I can understand that that people might have. Hopefully, they've had no problem in getting it fixed up for the next day, and it hasn't cost them anything for the supporters. But certainly, as a football issue, you know, we want Chelsea. Let's be fair. We want Chelsea to get to the final. So let's give them every opportunity, and to ask them to play Sunday and then Tuesday, or Sunday and Wednesday. Let's give them all the help they can get.